Ricky Gervais' new comedy special, Armageddon, just dropped on Netflix, and it's taking some heat. Not just the usual group of malcontents whining about him being mean, though there are still plenty of them. No, this time you've got critics trying a different approach, calling it boring. Is it, though? Well, let's talk about the show and what he brought to the stage in a minute. See you on the other side. Comedy, like most things, is subjective, at least to a certain degree. There have been hugely popular movies and TV shows which I've passed on for one reason or another that just didn't appeal to me. And there are things which I absolutely love that others shake their heads at. So be it. That said, there are a handful of things which I think are unquestionably funny, and if you disagree, I'm sorry, but you need to fuck right off, because I'm pretty sure we can't be friends. Basically, all of Ricky Gervais' catalog fits into this category for me. Some of his stuff hits me harder than others, but there's not a thing he's ever done that I don't find hilarious in one way or another. And the reason is simple. It's always honest. All he cares about is the laugh. He'll make fun of anything, including himself, just for the laugh. And like he discussed on the absolutely brilliant HBO show Talking Funny with Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, and Louis C.K., there's just no topic which he thinks is off limits for comedy. I agree with that. And given the state of the West over the past few years, it turns out that is actually some sort of weirdly heroic position to take. With each passing week, it seems new groups have decided they're untouchable, and along with demanding they be told how special and great they are, they insist you sure as shit can't make them the butt of any jokes. The most popular comedians have approached this differently. Some just avoid the topics entirely. Some brush up against them with a wink but never really go past, and others kick the goddamn door down. Dave Chappelle has famously gone this route and was attacked on stage for daring to go as hard as he has. Gervais has gone even harder. Now, Ricky obviously falls on the left politically, and that's fine. He's an outspoken animal rights activist, he's an environmentalist, he's lined up socially with most of those positions. He's also an outspoken atheist, and while I personally don't think that has anything to do with politics necessarily, many do and would see him further to the left because of it. Despite all that, he refuses to be silenced or told to stay away from topics, so being the funny prick he is, he steers into them. We've all seen his last few times hosting the Golden Globes and how he eviscerated that room. And in Armageddon, he steers right into it full speed ahead. Much of the new criticism seems to be he treads on old ground, talking about not being able to say things and then saying them. Well, yeah, he does do that. And he does that because it's still an issue. He starts off with a bit talking about the backlash of his previous Netflix special, Supernature, and people saying, "You can't say that." And him responding, "You can. I did." As much as this is a joke in itself, the real point is clear. You really can say what you want, and it's a great way to start off the show. After declaring he thinks it's time to simply become woke, he compares the odd need to declare yourself an anti-fascist with walking up to strangers and telling them you're not a pedophile. As he says, yeah, we all kind of assumed that until you felt the need to tell us. He moves into great bits about the changing of the words queer, handicapped, and points out the absurdity of the idea that the West is taking in women and children from third world countries when it's clearly nearly all young men. This is all really good stuff. Now, I'm a big fan of comedians that take their time setting up a punchline with what feels like a serious bit. I think the best out there at this is probably Anthony Jeselnik, and his bit about dropping a baby is just pure perfection. But Ricky nails one of these early on. He starts by talking about how the world is fucked thanks to climate change, only to eventually wind his way around to the actual shot at Zoomers, which is fantastic. And I'm sure had them clutching at pearls or candy necklaces or whatever it is they clutch at. But the theme repeatedly is pointing out these are all just jokes. In some of the reviews I've read, this was part of what brought the show down, but I disagree. This was Ricky making a joke out of those assholes who get offended by his stand-up. People unable or unwilling to recognize that the scenarios he's creating are fictional. So getting offended on behalf of the fictional disabled child or African baby with AIDS is not just pointless, it's ludicrous. More so than anything, though, this special is all about the need to push back against those whose puritanical desires to control the speech of others have made jokes dangerous. We don't control our thoughts that pop into our heads or what we find funny. What counts is our actions, so stop allowing people to ruin your joy. In the end, he wraps up the show with this line. But here's the deal, to each their own. Laugh at whatever you find funny. All laughter's good, and you're amazing. Now, the one bit of criticism of the show I'd like to address a little more in depth is that it felt lazy. I disagree, though I will say there's a free-form nature to this one that is different from the past specials. I haven't been able to find any production information, but it almost feels as if the show was filmed early on in the material's life, though I'm sure that isn't true. By the way, I love that kind of stuff before a joke has been sharpened and honed. To be able to hear a comedian working out the details of a relatively new joke is intoxicating to me. Here, there are times Ricky plays with this, and I'm not sure it's organic, and because of that, it can feel a bit sloppy in comparison to some of his older shows, which are far more polished. Look, all that said, if you love Gervais and are not made of tissue paper, then you're going to find Armageddon just as funny as his older stuff. I promise. Until next time, thanks for watching.